Today, 50% of the world's population makes one city or another home. As our cities grow, wild animal habitats shrink. Habitat destruction, deforestation, pollution, and the introduction of non-indigenous species have caused the extinction of nearly 800 animals. Yet others have learned to live among humans, such as the raccoon, the fox, the possum, and the squirrel. These are the animals that I'm here to talk to you about. I'm Chaos Davies, and I'm here to take you on an urban safari. Who's the smart birdie? You are. Pigeons have got to be one of my favorite birds. They are quite remarkable regardless of what anyone thinks. These are the smartest birds on the planet and the only ones capable of passing a mirror test to detect their own reflection. They are also capable of recognizing all 26 letters of the alphabet and different human faces, even when they are in photographs. That's pretty amazing if you ask me. Pigeons are also the oldest domesticated birds, and contrary to popular belief, they do not compete with indigenous animals for food or shelter, and diseases spread by them are extremely rare. Those old folks you see sitting in the park feeding the pigeons? Yeah, they're on to something. Feeding pigeons is relaxing and a medically established way to lower your blood pressure. Need more proof that pigeons are awesome? They are loyal and affectionate companion animals, and when they choose a mate, it's for life. In fact, pigeons tend to fawn over their mates, and both the male and female take an active role in caring for the young. When you are out and about in the city and see a flock of pigeons, have you ever noticed how much they look like doves? Yes, I know. A dove is a beautiful and majestic bird, and a pigeon is a rat with wings. Let's start with looking at the history of the word pigeon. It's derived from the Latin word pipere, meaning to peep or chirp, and the variant pipeau, meaning squab or young chirping bird. In Old French, it means young dove, and the dramatic word refers to the bird's diving flight. The word pigeon didn't come into common use until the early 1900s. Prior to this, the word dove was applied to all pigeons, just not the white ones. And now we're going to talk science. Yes, the science of pigeons. Both the pigeon and the dove are from the family Columbidae, comprising of 310 species of all different sizes, shapes, and colors, but scientifically no different. Ornithologists, these are the scientists that specialize in birds, extensively studied all 310 of these different birds, including the pigeon, the dove, and the now extinct dodo, and said, yep, same bird, different wrapper. Scientists were lucky enough to find some dodo DNA preserved in amber. They sent it off to Jurassic Park, where they have the advanced scientific technology to study this stuff. So, we learned some pretty amazing things. Going back some 2 million years ago to the Pleistocene epoch, a lost flock of pigeons landed on an island in the Indian Ocean now known as Mauritius. These pigeons lived out their happy pigeon lives without a care in the world. They had the good life, top of the food chain, no predators, and an abundant food source. They were living in the lap of pigeon luxury. Over hundreds of thousands of years, evolution did its thing, and voila, instant flightless dodo bird. Fast forward to 1598. A Dutch squadron under the command of Admiral Wybrand van Warwick landed at Grand Port and named the island Mauritius after Prince Maurice van Nassau of the Dutch Republic. But that's not important. What is important is that the Dutch established a colony in 1638 and made a home among the dodo. This was a real problem. Here was this very trusting animal with no natural defenses or a care in the world, meeting man for the first time, who looked at the dodo and thought, food. The bird weighed about 50 pounds. That's more than your average turkey, and it was seen as an abundant food source. These birds and their eggs also became prey for the cats, dogs, monkeys, and other non-native animals that the Dutch brought with them. Here's the ironic part. All the written records from that time report that the Dutch settlers didn't find the dodo all that tasty, and yet they remained one of their major food sources. It took less than 50 years from the time the Dutch landed in Mauritius for it to become extinct. The last dodo was killed in 1681. The Dutch did attempt to send some of these birds back to Europe. Naturally, because they weren't seafaring animals and because no one could hop down to the local pet store for dodo kibble, none of them survived. We're going to fast forward and make another stop on the dodo timeline, October of 2005. A 2,000-year-old mass grave was found in a low-lying swamp area of Mauritius. It contained preserved dodo chicks and skeletons. This was the first time a complete reticulated skeleton had been found. Up until this point, there were only various dodo bits and pieces, and they were on display in the Oxford Natural History Museum. This remarkable archaeological and scientific discovery provided just enough preserved soft tissue to extract DNA and study it. This is how we know that the dodo was in fact a giant flightless pigeon. It shares enough of its DNA with the pigeon that scientists are looking at making the dodo a candidate for de-extinction. Doves. Yes, the white pigeon. I was getting to that before this dodo thing. For this, we need to go back in time to ancient Mesopotamia. The oldest images of pigeons were found here and date back to 3000 BC. During this time period, white pigeons were rare, so rare in fact that they were considered a miracle, deemed sacred, made a symbol of the goddess of love, Ishtar, and worshipped. This led to a breeding project to get more white birds, because who wouldn't want more sacred pigeons to worship? The religious significance of the pigeon continues throughout time. Obviously, the ancient Mesopotamians started a fad that never died out. In the early 1900s, when the white pigeon was segregated and named the dove, Christians adopted it as a symbol of peace and of the Holy Spirit. I guess the thought of Noah sending out a homing pigeon to see if the floodwaters had started to recede didn't sound very phenomenal or give credence to religious symbolism. Meanwhile, other religions encourage the care and feeding of pigeons, believing when someone dies, their soul assumes the form of a pigeon. By feeding the pigeons, the souls of the departed are being cared for. Pigeon crap? Really? You want to go there? Fine. We'll talk about pigeon crap. Back in the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, pigeon crap was a very sought-after commodity. Guards would be placed on dovecotes to keep people from stealing the crap. Who would steal pigeon crap, you ask? A lot of people. It was worth a small fortune. It was the main source of saltpeter used in gunpowder. It was also a very prized fertilizer, considered better than farmyard fertilizer from cows and horses, and it was used exclusively in French vineyards. Pigeons weren't raised just for their crap, though. It was merely a useful byproduct of carrier pigeons. The use of carrier pigeons date back as far as ancient Rome, when they were used to carry the results of sporting events, such as the Olympic Games. Today, in keeping with the pigeon tradition of them carrying news of the Olympic winners, doves are released at the start of the Games, because that makes perfect sense. Releasing white carrier dove pigeons to take word of Olympic winners before the Games even start. Who comes up with these ideas? Anyway, the history of carrier pigeons doesn't end there. In 1869, there was a pigeon airmail service that ran between the Great Barrier Island and New Zealand. That's around 92 kilometers or 52 miles. It took less than 2 hours for the pigeons to fly between the islands. Not too bad. Less than 2 hours. Today, you're lucky if the modern mail service can get a letter 52 miles in 2 days without losing it. Even today, pigeons are used in remote areas as a messenger service and to deliver life-saving medications. Carrier pigeons also played a very important role in World War I and World War II, relaying messages back and forth to allies behind enemy lines. One particular pigeon, a cher ami, was awarded the Croix de Guerre medal by the French Army and a gold medal from the organized body of American racing pigeon fanciers for her heroic service during World War I in delivering 12 very important messages. During what turned out to be her last flight, she was shot down by the Germans. Once again, she took flight, despite being nearly critically wounded, to deliver the message she was carrying, which saved the lives of almost 200 people. After this heroic flight, Army medics returned the favor and saved her life. When she died the following year, she was taxidermied and enshrined in the Smithsonian Institution in the Price of Freedom exhibit. Pigeons were also carried on ships, convoys, and on U-boats. In the event that they were attacked, a carrier pigeon was released with the details of the sinking ship. This saved thousands of lives. Continuing their military service, U.S. Navy and Coast Guard researchers have trained pigeons to spot capsized boats and recognize red and yellow life jackets at sea. Our feathery friends here can see in the same color spectrum as humans, so spotting brightly colored life jackets isn't a problem. In fact, pigeons have proven to be more reliable and quicker than humans in spotting those lost at sea. In all trials, pigeons outperformed humans by 52%. I told you, they are remarkable birds. No other species of bird can do this sort of thing. So, this leaves one question to be answered. Are pigeons, with their advanced bird intelligence, truly pests? Or are they just trying to outnumber humans where they can stage a coup and take over the planet? Look at all these chipmunks! Aren't they the cutest things? There are 25 different types of chipmunks and all can be found in North America except Asia's Tamias sibericus. Some dig complex burrows to live in while others make their homes in nests, bushes, or logs. Chipmunks are normally solitary animals that only socialize during spring mating season. Large scurries like this one are extremely rare. A scurry is a group of chipmunks. You have herds of deer, flocks of seagulls, and scurries of chipmunks. Not since the Great Chipmunk Stampede of 1908, as the smell of cooking peanuts wafted through the air from one of the first peanut butter plants, have more than a few chipmunks been seen together at one time. Some refer to this incident as the chipmunk peanut butter raid of Crema, after observation that chipmunks prefer peanut butter over actual peanuts. But it was indeed a stampede. What can only be described as a sea of chipmunks descended on the Crema factory in Columbus, Ohio, as the new factory started to roll out their first batch of all-natural organic peanut butter. Now it's becoming more and more common to see these large scurries. Some blame the tree huggers. Excuse me. Apparently, dendrophiliacs feel that the term tree hugger lumps them in with hippie environmental types, and they don't like that. Fine. Some are blaming the environmental activists who are planting more trees, specifically maple trees, to increase oxygen and in turn help the environment. The acorns falling from the trees attract large number of chipmunks who are gathering nuts for winter hibernation. Chipmunks don't store fat like other animals. Throughout winter, they will periodically wake up long enough to eat and use the bathroom. Basically, they're taking hibernation naps. This maple tree theory has been disproven since chipmunks are in fact small squirrels who have adapted to burrowing. Acorns would also attract the other squirrels, but that's not happening. So, let's talk about the reality of what is happening. Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and this is right out of a science fiction movie. See, chipmunks are highly susceptible to radio waves, specifically those designed by aliens for thought control purposes. Chipmunks don't have opposable thumbs or access to aluminum foil, so they can't make little chipmunk-sized hats to block out the radio waves. Through these thought control radio waves, aliens are able to control chipmunks for the sole purpose of making crop circles. It's no surprise that the number of crop circles have gone up with the sightings of scurries. See, aliens have isolated a frequency that only chipmunks can hear. Lawn gnomes are appropriated, and an act known as gnoming, and fitted with special transmitters that send out radio signals to the chipmunks. That's right, all those innocent-looking lawn gnomes are highly specialized chipmunk communication devices that are made using advanced alien technology. These messages tell chipmunks where to meet. Once a large enough scurry has formed, an alien ship will come and collect the chipmunks and transport them to the future crop circle site. It's a well-accepted fact that alien crop circles are the equivalent to our ink blot tests and are used to study the human brain. The chipmunks are now providing the aliens with